All right, Matt, we have to talk about The Mandalorian. This has been a
Yes.
thing we've been doing on every episode of this show since The Mandalorian started playing again. So we have to talk about the end of The Mandalorian. So full spoilers for season 1 and 2 of The Mandalorian. If you have not watched those and are planning to, please stop listening now.
Yeah.
Because we're going to go into it.
There are big spoilers that you're not going to want to hear if you haven't watched The Mandalorian.
100%.
This is your last warning that if you care about Star Wars, don't listen to this. I'll say no more until now, I guess, because
Yes.
that was the warning.
So, to start this conversation about The Mandalorian off, the first thing I want to say is there was one episode we didn't talk about, which was the second to last episode 7, I think it was. It's the one where they go with Bill Burr to the hideout and get the location. And that's like my favorite episode of anything ever. Like I love that episode to death. I loved everything. That is what Star Wars is to me. I love what it was doing thematically with Mando. We made fun of Bill Burr's character the week before and just the fact that it was just Bill Burr and Star Wars. And it certainly still was that. But he felt so at home in it in this episode. Like he's attacking the themes of the entire show and in the way he confronts Mando. And he's really landing on this very important theme of the episode that I thought was really powerful and moving about like how, like what our responsibility is in this, like what is the good side and what is the bad side in this whole thing. I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah, just some really great moments in that episode. And I mean, a lot of them hinging on Bill Burr's acting, and
yes,
which is, everybody loves Bill Burr for being a comedian. I think when a comedian tries to be an actor, you give them some leeway, especially if you like them as a comedian.
Sure.
But I don't think he needs any leeway. I think he just handled these scenes really well. Like the sitting across the table from his old commanding officer, it's just absolutely edge of your seat, and the conflict he's able to convey there.
I mean, they were kind of recreating a Django Unchained Western like showdown scene, like it's basically the scene out of Django Unchained where the guy just flips out and has to shoot the guy even though it fucks them over a little bit anyway. It's basically that scene. But that was Christoph Waltz doing that with Leo DiCaprio, and Bill Burr did it, and he pulled it off, and it was great. I loved it.
Yeah. This is a really fun episode. I don't have much else to say about that one other than like I think the episode prior to that one had been like my least favorite episode of the whole series to date. So I was like, oh no, it's no longer perfect. But then the thing is, like the ship was righted so well by the Bill Burr episode that I was just like, okay, we're good, we're okay, we're gonna be okay, everybody.
Yeah, and then the ship docked into the finale, so there's a lot to talk about here, right?
Yeah.
I don't even know how to properly approach it. I guess we have to start with Luke Skywalker, and here's what I'll say. And I don't know if you agree with me on this or not, but like, if you had written down what happens in this episode and given it to me, I would have said, what the fuck? That's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard of. That's going to be awful. I'm going to hate it. This is exactly what I did not want the show to be. That's all the things I would have said. And yet, the way they did it in the show, it fucking worked on me, man.
Yeah. It worked perfectly on me. Like I don't think I can convey to anyone who's not of the same vintage as us, like what it means to see Luke Skywalker with the green lightsaber come on board the ship and kick ass. Like there is a child part of me that has been waiting 25 years to see that scene.
Yeah, and it is that child part of you that everyone pitched a fit about in The Last Jedi when they didn't get that version of Luke Skywalker, which they should have known they were never going to get that version of Luke Skywalker because A, he's old as fuck now, and B, that would be boring in that movie. But in this role in this show is so minor and so quick that you can just have that and have that be fun and just enjoy it for what it is and then move on from it. I mean, my favorite part about it is that the scene isn't about Luke Skywalker.
Right.
It's about Baby Yoda and Mando saying goodbye to each other. Like that is the emotional core of the scene. So the Star Wars nerd of you is like fist pumping about Luke Skywalker being a badass, but the other part of you is like absolutely devastated that like this adorable lone wolf and cub collaboration that has been Mando and Baby Yoda for 2 seasons is ending.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's why I feel like the show's not winking at you too hard.
No,
Um,
I admit I was emotional just from the Luke Skywalker scene, like the fact that this surprise, this like beautiful, amazing surprise had been sprung on me. And then they had to, but what pushed me over the edge was him taking off his mask,
yeah.
because that's really where the emotional stakes are, and that's where your heart is, right?
Yep. Yep.
Um, and it's perfectly like perfectly satisfying, the idea like, oh, he's gonna go off with Luke. That's perfect. I want it
Mhm.
like it. I don't just want him to go off with a Jedi. I want him to go off with Luke. That's great. That's like like that's a perfect example of how you use the fact that people already know what Star Wars is. Because if it's just like some Jedi shows up, there's so much legwork you have to do. Whereas it's like, no, it's Luke Skywalker. We're done here.
Yeah.
He's gonna take the baby. Everything's cool. um, and you can feel happy about that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
bittersweet, at least, but
Sure. We have to talk about the one bad thing about it though, which is the CGI.
yeah,
I don't understand why Lucasfilm and or Disney has married themselves to whatever algorithm or
uh-huh.
process or whatever they're doing for the CGI versions of characters, because this is like the third Star Wars thing that has tried to do this and failed miserably.
Yeah,
It's
and this is
just bad. It's
it's
just awful.
it's the worst. Yeah, and honestly, like it didn't ruin it. It didn't ruin anything for me, but like number one, literally the next day there were people who had put a good deep fake up on YouTube where they just use the basic, you can run it on your desktop GPU, to do a proper neural network deepfake, and it looks perfect. It looks exactly like Mark Hamill in Return of the Jedi. Um,
Mhm.
and the only problem with it is that his face doesn't move much, but that's because the CGI shitty job they did, his face doesn't move much. Like
Yeah, yeah.
it's like fundamentally they just didn't even give them much to work with, And
Ugh.
I watched Return of the Jedi this last week out of nostalgia, um, which I hadn't seen in a while. And I was like, Mark Hamill is a good actor. So the fact that his face looks like plastic jumps out even more when you see
Yeah.
what he really looks like. And, the
I,
subtlety that he's able to convey.
I'm a little torn here though, because like what I said when I first saw it was just hire a fucking actor
Mm-hmm.
to like, just like the thing about movies and TV is we have forever just been okay with having another actor play a character,
Right.
even though we know it doesn't, like for in movies for years we've had, oh, this person is playing, like I was just watching a movie with my wife right now, which is a George Clooney movie on Netflix, and there's a younger version of himself and he's played by someone else, and we
Yeah.
just accept that this is what
Right.
the younger version of George Clooney looked like.
Yeah.
And so just fucking hire someone, it doesn't matter. But I was thinking about that, and my if they had hired someone else, my reaction would have been, oh no, they're gonna make Luke Skywalker part of the show.
Uh-huh.
And because it was this shitty CGI thing that I know would cost just millions and millions of dollars if they had to do it on the regular, I am completely confident in my knowledge that Luke Skywalker is just not going to become a normal part of the show, right? It's just too expensive to do it that way. They would actually just hire someone if they were planning on doing a Luke Skywalker show.
Yeah.
So the fact that it wasn't that gave me confidence
Uh-huh.
that they're not going to do that, which I still would think would be horrible.
Uh-huh. I mean, honestly, we're gonna live a few more decades, so they'll probably get around to doing that eventually.
I'm sure you're right.
Um,
I'm sure you're right. But
but
not in this show.
not in
Not
this
in
show.
this show.
Yeah, I mean, this show had the exact right idea, as you I think said toward the beginning, where it's like, we are going to give you mythic Luke Skywalker.
Mm-hmm.
He is the dark cloaked badass who comes in and sweeps in, saves the day, and disappears like a shadow. And that's exactly what we wanted, and we don't need anything more.
Mm-hmm.
Bye bye, Luke.
Yeah.
Good. It was great to see you. Let's go back to the Mandalorian now.
Right. Right. And so this is, I think, what I want to conclude this conversation on with you is what is next for the show, because I think they've actually done a shocking and exciting thing here. because I think going into this season, I was kind of convinced that the executives and all the money people behind this show would have seen the Baby Yoda frenzy that for some reason that I still don't fully understand, nobody estimated correctly, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
everyone said, no one, they didn't have merchandising ready. No one was expecting this adorable fucking Yoda puppet to be the biggest thing on the internet. And so they didn't plan the story around that at all. And then they kind of, once it exploded, season 2 kind of shifted to be more about Baby Yoda than they were planning. And I was very worried that they were just going to see this and they were just going to milk it. I think we talked about this early on, that they're just going to fucking poochify Baby Yoda.
Uh-huh.
And so for this show to end the season on taking him away from the Mandalorian, on looking at this and saying, yeah, we've really done all we can with this current arrangement, and taking him away, and then kind of saying, okay, we have to figure out what the show is going to be now. And perhaps the show is going to become what they always envisioned it was going to become before they had to do this quick side trip to deal with the Baby Yoda stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's so fascinating and interesting and exciting to me, because I think the show is about to move into something else really interesting. I mean, the end of the show is basically Mando has become like the de facto king of Mandalore because he has the Darksaber now, and like there's this whole power struggle that's going to have to exist between him and I forget her name, Starbuck, the person who plays Starbuck.
Bo-Katan, assuming that
Thank
she's
you.
not dead because she got shot 15 times and we didn't see her again.
Yeah, well, she's not
I mean,
gonna
I'm
die.
sure
There's
she's
too
not
much.
dead.
There's too much
Yeah.
drama in mind for that. Like, it could move into like a power struggle for the ruling of Mandalore, and I am interested to see how Mando falls into that. Because that's a very different kind of show, and so it's exciting to see this thing not like, it would be very easy to just make the Baby Yoda and Mando show forever, right? Like, I think it would be very tempting to just do that and just milk that for every last drop it has.
Mhm.
And look, Baby Yoda is not done in the Star Wars universe. Like, obviously, it's not done. There's no way they're gonna just never make another thing that has this adorable Yoda puppet in it. But the fact that they showed in this finale that they wanted to move on from that and do something different is very exciting to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel such confidence in these creators that I feel like, there's a whole new realm of possibilities now that are just like, yeah, we've got the basic idea of a space gunslinger, and there's a lot of stories you can tell with the basic idea of a space gunslinger.
Yeah.
And I'm just really excited to see where they go from here.
Me too. And it also makes me excited for some of the other shows that they're working on. What it doesn't make me excited for is the thing we got at the very end of this episode, the post-credit stinger called The Book of Boba Fett. So he's getting his own show, Matt. It's helmed by Robert Rodriguez.
Ooh.
He's going to run the show.
Eek.
Which actually, you understand why he was able to just jump in and help out, right? Because he was probably like literally on the set for the Book of Boba Fett, and then their director dropped out, and he was like, "Ooh, Robert, we need you." And it happens to be you're already working on Boba Fett stuff, so just help out with this one.
Yeah, this is your chance to do a really good job and show everyone how great the Book of Boba Fett is going to be. Oops.
Here's what I'll say though. Okay, let me preface this with, I don't give a shit about Boba Fett. I will never give a shit about Boba Fett. I don't care. I've not read any of the hundreds of books and comics and whatever there are describing who Boba Fett is. I will say that the little 3-minute teaser we got at the end where he marches into Jabba's palace, kills the one guy,
Bib Fortuna, right?
Who's gotten fat and lazy
and looks like Jabba, right?
Kills that guy and sits down on the throne is such a statement.
Yeah.
And it kind of, despite myself, made me a little bit interested to check out if the tone of that series matches the tone of that little teaser. I might get interested in it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I heard someone comparing it to like a Conan vibe.
Yeah,
and especially with the other bounty hunter like sitting on the arm of his chair and like taking a swig of it. It's like, oh, that's such an image, such an iconic image. Yeah. So I don't know. I think it at this point I'm excited about The Mandalorian because I'm excited about Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, and Mandalorian actor
Pedro Pascal.
Pedro Pascal. We lose one of those three, and I start to get wobbly. If it's just Robert Rodriguez, I'm like, okay, well, I don't know about that, but we'll see, I guess.
Sure, and that's fair. That's fair. I don't know. I definitely be watching Mando season 3. We'll probably be back on this very show talking about Mando season 3 when it returns next year. And I think we'll tentatively stick our toes into the rest of these Star Wars shows, as we talked about when that big announcement happened.
Yeah, I won't be able to help myself.
Of course. Thanks for reinvigorating my interest in Star Wars, Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau.
Yeah, thanks for giving 7-year-old Matt what he was imagining when he imagined future Star Wars movies.
Yeah, can we just say, I don't want to delve into this bullshit because I'm so sick of the Last Jedi bullshit, but the people who are like, finally, someone who understands who Luke Skywalker is, fuck you.
Yeah, I like. I think I tweeted something along the lines of like, you can like both things. Or it wasn't even my original idea, right? It's just like old Luke 30 years from now will have had some setbacks and some other challenges, and it's very interesting and valid to want to tell the story of an old man who things haven't gone the way he thought they would. But it's also cool for us to see like we all kind of imagined and almost assumed that Luke Skywalker was going to go off and have all these grand adventures,
Sure,
and grow in power and be this great Jedi master who was going to teach many other Jedi and reinvent the Jedi Order. Like that was in our imaginations as children. We didn't need to see it, certainly, but we were imagining it, and so getting to see it is nice. But I'm also glad that it wasn't a whole movie, because then you're just wallowing. It becomes less cool to me when you see it. When it's just a hint, it's 10 minutes at the end, less than 10, it's 5 minutes at the end of an episode. Perfecto.
Yep. Yeah. Agree. I'm tired of this bullshit. I agree. Star Wars fans are the worst, except for us. We're the exception.
Yeah, well, we're not. See, we basically hated Star Wars for the last several years. So
touche.